Welcome to the Powerful Vulnerability Podcast, where we believe in the transformative power of storytelling from the heart. I'm Dr. Ashley.
And I'm Catherine Russler.
We are so glad you're here. Many stories here are extraordinary.
And some carry quiet wisdom.
All teach us. Welcome back to Powerful Vulnerability. Today we are joined by one of my best friends in the whole world, Dr. Kaitlin Swanson. Dr. Swanson graduated with her bachelor's degree in psychology from the College of William and Mary in 2009 and with her doctorate in psychology from Rutgers University in 2016. Dr. Swanson spent her career as a school psychologist for at-risk middle school students. Dr. Swanson now lives in New Jersey with her husband of 9 years, John. Dr. Swanson will be communicating with us today with the assistance of her eye gaze communication device, the Tobii Dynavox. Unfortunately, my co-host Catherine is unable to join us today due to family obligations, but welcome, Kate. We're so glad that you're here.
Hi, I'm Kate, and I'm really looking forward to talking with you both. Ashley and I have known each other since our freshman year at William and Mary, which means we've been best friends over half of our lives. It feels like forever, but one of my favorite stories about her happened in June 2007. We both love Mexico. The culture values hard work and generosity, making it feel like what the church should be. We both volunteered with faith ministries building houses that spring break, and when Ashley said she'd be going back again that summer, I was like, me too. The first trip was a week, the second one was 3 weeks, and it overlapped my 20th birthday, which I spent on a rooftop in Mexico, also known as one of the most beautiful places in the world. It was the only birthday I've been apart from my family, but I woke up to our tiny concrete room that we shared with 6 other girls from different colleges and countless giant flying cockroaches, filled with multicolored balloons, and Ashley had also gotten a chocolate cake from the mall nearby. Just love her.
A sweet memory. Oh, that was a good time in our lives. So happy that you're here with us today, Kate. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
As you mentioned, I live in New Jersey and I'm a psychologist by training. My absolute favorite population to work with is middle school students. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with ALS over 9 years ago, and the progression has significantly impacted my functioning.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Can you tell us more about ALS? What is it and what does it do to your body?
Also known as Lou Gehrig disease, is a progressive terminal neurological disease that impairs every function. My neurons are losing the ability to communicate with my muscles, which impacts my movement, including breathing and swallowing. At this point in time, I'm wheelchair bound and primarily communicate with my Tobii Dynavox eye gaze technology. Everything requires a lot more time, awareness, and energy.
That sounds really tough. Can you tell us about the onset of your ALS and the events surrounding your diagnosis?
Dr. Ashley knows I've always loved to run. From the age of 10, I ran a 3-mile loop daily with my family. In high school, that changed to track, in college to long runs with friends, and after college, back to the 3 to 5 mile run with my family. It was a great debriefing time for us. I could run with my mom, my sister, brother, father, or eventually my fiance, and it provided time outdoors to get out all of that extra energy and just enjoy God's creation. In January 2016, I started to have difficulty running. For as long as I can remember, running was easy, and that winter, suddenly it wasn't anymore. I didn't understand how it could change. I couldn't seem to stop my own impact. My feet hit the ground too hard, and it felt like I was continuously off balance. Then I started to actually fall. I would wipe out while running or take a step down the stairs and find myself at the bottom. In the beginning, I could catch myself. Then I couldn't anymore. It didn't make any sense. It felt like I couldn't stretch enough. My balance wasn't working, and I had lost my rhythm to run. People kept telling me to just shake it off or that it was all in my head. I hoped it was, but couldn't seem to fix that on my own. So I went to the foot doctor. That seemed like the logical starting place since my feet appeared to be failing me. The podiatrist led to a physical therapist who recommended a neurologist, which led to another neurologist and a slew of tests culminating in a torturous week inpatient in the dingiest corner of Columbia University Hospital. There I continued to meet with specialists, had my second EMG, and was diagnosed with ALS on June 9th, 2016, the day after my 29th birthday and a month before my wedding.
Man, oh man. That's a lot. What does ALS feel like?
ALS involves constantly facing your new worst nightmare. It means thinking of the most atrocious possible outcome and then watching it come true. My body is pulling everything inward. Gravity is not just making it difficult to walk, I'm no longer able to hold up my head, and the atrophy has created functional scoliosis, contributing to my daily discomfort. Eating orally is not just a workout to open and close my mouth, but a struggle for coordination of my teeth and jaw. My throat and heart work overtime, always inconsistent, continually spasming. Most actions require assistance, running the gamut of verbal requests, from movement, nourishment, hygiene, etc., to nonverbal assistance like choking, hair in my mouth, or other urgent, rapidly needed assistance. None of which includes any relationship nourishing conversation. It is not just exhausting for me, but for everyone who has to help me every day. It is endlessly overwhelming and painful. There's always tightness and muscle spasms, but the combination creates a whole new experience. My jaw is so tight, and I have little control over my bite. So when I yawn, I've already chipped several teeth. My extremities are always cold, but when the temperature drops, my teeth chattering reaches dangerously jarring heights. And even though I'm always stiff, when I'm cold, my body becomes a board. Nighttime requires totally different preparation because even though my hands always want to curl and my feet constantly want to flex, during the day with my custom 450-pound power chair, people can help me position myself to have the least discomfort possible. When I'm sleeping, everything spasms, so I use an array of splints to keep my body from further degeneration and pain. Sometimes the nerve pain feels like ants crawling across your skin. It produces shocking pain when my bare feet touch the carpet. Other times, the muscle cramps cause excruciating pain, and the ever increasing paralysis causes irritation that can cause brutal sores. Plus, the lack of coordination with my muscles and delay in response time means my saliva is frequently drowning me. It's an ever evolving cacophony of torture.
Man, that is really a lot to deal with. What are some of the ways you have coped with this diagnosis? Like, how have you mentally wrapped your mind around it and kept on going? How have you managed to live a fulfilling life, anyways?
Honestly, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Nehemiah 8:10. He surrounded me with so much support. It's a daily battle, but he's there alongside us. And every time I think I can't cope, he provides more joy. Like when I went on disability, it perfectly coincided with Seth, my beautiful first godson's birth in August 2022. Gab, my sister, came over and let me hold him while I was on the phone, dealing with all the many barriers to going on disability. My father and mother retired to take care of me and their grandsons. It's hard not to feel guilty for taking so much of their time and energy, but we are all blessed to get to spend more time with Seth and Kai, my youngest nephew. I really miss working, but I am so thankful for my two godsons. It is impossible not to feel joy with those beautiful boys. Since they're surrounded by adaptation, my uniqueness is commonplace for Seth and baby Kai. At 3 years old, Seth's already a pro at helping move my wheelchairs from room to room, and we love watching Bible stories together on my Tobii. At only a year, Kai's already made my Tobii track his eyes instead of mine. Seth asks the best questions. With the innocence of youth, he doesn't know what is considered normal. So, when I got stuck, almost driving into a wall, adjusting to my new wheelchair, he's the first one to ask, "What happened, Tia Kate?" Or if I look uncomfortable, he very sweetly tells Grandma, "Tia Kate needs medicine." When Seth was younger, he thought my clonus was dancing, and so whenever I started to shake, he'd say, "Tia Kate's dancing," and start moving too. Now, he'll literally push both my knees down to break the spasm. Kai is always trying to help too. They're a constant blessing. The other day, my mother and sister were talking about me in the other room, and Seth just chimed in, casually saying, "Jesus is taking care of Deikite." We all need a helping of that childlike faith. They're a wonderful reminder of the resiliency of youth. I'm also a part of an amazing group of women, similarly diagnosed with ALS before the age of 35. While at our annual retreat in September 2023, I realized that many of the women with children were struggling to explain their degeneration to their children. I thought a book could give them a framework to demonstrate examples for how to continue enjoying interacting with one another. Kids are super creative and adaptive. We just have to show them, and they make incredible mirrors. So, like you, I wrote a children's book September of 2023. We're still working on the illustrations, but it reinvigorates my hope that I can continue to use my training to be of help. Ephesians 3:20 says, "God is able to do much more than we ask or think through his power working in us." At times when I'm extra tired and struggle even more, my mother reminds me that faith can come from your family and your friends, that God put them in place for us to help, so they can lift us here when we can't feel his hands reach. One concrete example of this is in Luke, when the paralyzed man's friends literally lowered him down through the roof so that Jesus could reach him to be healed. Then he said to him, "Rise and go. Your faith has made you well." Luke 17:19. I am so blessed with a wonderful husband, amazing family and friends, who are my feet when I can't walk, my hands when they fail me, and provide me sustenance when I am weak. My life has, of necessity, become much more of a team effort.
I have all the feels over here. I'm just so glad you're in my life. That's all I got. I'm glad that your family is there for you. And your nephews are so precious.
Me too.
Can you tell us about the life expectancy they gave you when you were diagnosed? And how long have you been living with the disease? And how do you feel about that in relation to each other?
After my third EMG, a well recognized, highly empathic expert in the field told me that given my atypical characteristics and rapid progression, he expected that within 3 months I would need to use breathing and feeding tubes. He stated that while most patients with ALS pass away within 2 to 5 years, he expected that I had at most a year from the date of diagnosis. He said that I could expect my speech to go away, to lose my ability to chew and swallow on my own, and that eventually I will lose the ability to breathe. It's been over 9 years since that second confirmation of my ALS diagnosis. Most people with ALS pass away within 2 to 5 years of diagnosis. Barely 10% live 10 years past their diagnosis. This next year will bring me into that fortunate percentage. ALS is a constant exercise in humility. At this point in time, I need assistance with everything. I've watched myself lose the ability to run, walk, cut my food, dress myself, bathe myself, and speak in the way that I have my entire life. I can barely drink and am unable to eat enough to sustain myself. So, in July 2024, I got a feeding tube. Contrary to what doctors say, yes, obviously a continuously bleeding hole holding a feeding tube in your body is significantly uncomfortable and often painful, especially for someone reliant on other people to transfer me. Nevertheless, it's a huge blessing to finally be hydrated and to be able to get nutrition without choking. At this point, my primary substance comes from a bag, but gloriously many desserts are still doable. Tiramisu, ice cream, chocolate mousse. I finally have a directive from my doctors that I'm willing to follow. I'm all about the high calorie diet, and fortunately, my family is fully on board with providing decadent desserts. Each time we go to an appointment, we still have to be reminded that, as 2 Corinthians 5:7 says, we live by faith, not by sight. Even though the ALS clinic works to combine multiple therapists into one day, they are not in the business of giving hope. Unfortunately, they do not have proactive functional suggestions to improve my daily life. For years, my insurance denied occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech services, even though these have shown to maintain functionality. My private insurance kept saying that they do not need to provide anything that will not make me better. Since ALS is a terminal illness, that led to zero services. Now we are navigating the new world of Medicare, where medication that used to cost $240 a year will be over $4,000 annually. That is the medication that is approved. I don't understand so many things about our current medical system, but I'm continuously blown away by amazing people and organizations who willingly step into that gap, and I'm very thankful to still be here to help advocate for change.
Well, I'm personally very glad that you're still here. I know that ALS impacts all aspects of your life. How has it affected your husband and your marriage?
Since ALS impacts all my functioning, it permeates my relationships as well. My husband John and I have discussed this a lot. We're both thankful I was diagnosed prior to our marriage. I vividly remember the day I got diagnosed. John and some friends had come to visit me in the hospital. The two of us had a moment alone, and I told him flat out, "We're not married, and this is not what you planned for. So if you want to cancel the wedding, I understand." He immediately replied, "Absolutely not. I love you. If we have a year, we'll make it the best year ever." It would have definitely been easier dying after the first year, at least for the two of us. But John's wonderful, and I'm very thankful for his strength. Yes, his literal strength. He jokes that I married him because he could pick me up, and obviously I love him for many other qualities as well. But I've always wanted someone who could easily lift me, which is extra ridiculous because I've always been pretty tiny. But before our first date, John, who's a great athlete and over a foot taller than me, picked me up and said, whilst holding me in his arms, "See, I can carry you." Now he frequently jokes that I can stop testing him since he's been carrying me for years. It's definitely difficult maintaining the balance of partnership when I'm so physically dependent. The burden for care falls on my parents and John, and as we navigate hiring more care, the financial worries definitely pile on the stress. My husband and I were blessed that when we needed more help, we were able to move in with my parents and my brother in 2019. Of course, that creates less alone time and more opinion, but thankfully, we all enjoy one another because everything requires a lot of hands now. So we try to pray together every night, schedule dates to ensure we make space alone, and plan trips so we always have something to look forward to. We're both always exhausted, me from the toll ALS takes, and John from adjusting me at night so I can breathe while not drowning on saliva. But we have amazing family support, and we've been blessed by our church community. We know we can't do it on our own, but thankfully, we don't have to. Philippians 4:6-8 says, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done." We're immensely thankful for Christ and our support system who lift us up and hold us accountable.
I have to agree. John is a great guy. I'm so glad that you have him in your life and that he takes such good care of you. What words of wisdom would you like to share with our listeners?
I've recently been rereading Tuesdays with Maury, and one of my favorite quotes is, "Everyone knows they're going to die, but nobody believes it. If we did, we would do things differently." It's so true. The ironic gift hidden in a terminal diagnosis is the awareness of how finite life is. I am thankful for the reminder of Ephesians 2:10 that we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Even if you're paralyzed, struggle to communicate orally, and everything takes infinitely more time, as long as we're alive, we have opportunities to make a positive impact. That doesn't mean it'll be easy, but every day we're here is a new opportunity to purposely choose joy. Our culture, understandably, has a tendency to idolize health. To be fair, it's hard to focus on anything else when you're in pain and dying. But when you never know which interaction will be your last, there's a bit more urgency to savor life. I'm particularly thankful for this awareness when people encouragingly comment on my strength in spite of ALS. While I appreciate their kindness, it's not me. Thankfully, Isaiah 26:3 states that God will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. A continuous prayer in our home is, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." Romans 15:13. ALS is an incessant exercise in humility. My mind constantly reminds me of my struggles, but mercifully, the Holy Spirit is there to provide counsel. Ephesians 3:20 says, "God is able to do much more than we ask or think through his power working in us." Like we know the eventuality of death and taxes. Everyone will struggle. The only decision we get to make is how we handle our trial.
That is excellent perspective. And I've really appreciated that through the years, you still listen to me and my struggles and give your input on the things going on in my life, how you still show up for people, even with everything. So thank you for that. What do you wish people knew about ALS?
I'm thankful to be here and to have incredible friends like you to live life with. Being paralyzed is odd. Everyone knows being unable to move is scary, but who knew it was so excruciating? I am constantly uncomfortable and often experience severe pain. None of this is how I pictured my life, and my doctors do not have any recommendations of what they can do. I try to hope for the best, plan for the worst. I've spent too many years dealing with crises to not want to be prepared. But like 90% of people with ALS, I have the sporadic version, meaning no one in my family has a recognized gene for ALS. Devastatingly, incidences of ALS are increasing worldwide. Other neurological diseases are being diagnosed exponentially more, and it can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any age. We need a cocktail of impactful solutions because the nightmare is real. And if it's not close to home yet, it will be. That's why I'm immensely thankful for every individual listening. As I've become more ingrained in this community, I have seen such copious loss that I need to believe we will one day find a cure. I truly believe that will come from a combination of treatments, so we need to continue raising awareness and funding to create change.
I agree. I agree. If anyone's ever interested, Kate does a ALS walk every year in Seaside, New Jersey, that anyone listening is welcome to donate to or come join us. Any final things you want to say?
Love you, and thank you so much for having me.
I love you too. Thank you so much for joining us and sitting with us today in Powerful Vulnerability. Thank you for sitting in Powerful Vulnerability with us today. I'm Dr. Ashley.
And I'm Catherine.
Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast as your preferred app allows.
See you on the next episode.